What is up? My name is Matt. Welcome back to Diggin, and today on this episode we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to talk a little bit about metal detecting theory, and we're going to talk about a specific program, the mid-deep program for the XP Deus. Now, if you don't have an XP Deus, you're going to want to stick around for this because we're going to get in the weeds on how to detect a site and how to break down your machine to get the most out of it when you're out in the field hunting and looking for artifacts. So, without further ado, let's get right after it. So we're out in the garden and we're listening to all the birds, and you know, at all times I'm always thinking about metal detecting and how to make my machine perform the best for me in all the different places that I go. Now a lot of times I do use the XP Deus, and it has an adjustable sensitivity, has an adjustable reactivity. So what I'm going to talk about is the mid-deep program that I've built and we've used over at Cold Harbor Metal Detectors. But before I do that, what I'm going to talk about is my theory or my idea of how to attack a site that you're metal detecting that has a lot of iron targets. I often think about how to metal detect these places and the idea of building a cake. Most birthday cakes or wedding cakes are all built in layers or tiers. So if you consider that, you want to use, when you're first going over a site, a low sensitivity or a high recovery speed to kind of take a bite out of that first top layer and remove those targets. Now some of those targets will be masked by iron, some of them will be junk targets. But the idea of removing just that first layer with a lower recovery or a lower sensitivity will allow you to kind of pick through that first layer of site. So now you're going to come back over that same exact site and you're going to turn that sensitivity up. Maybe if you have a reactivity or recovery speed, you're going to slow that down so you're taking a little bit bigger bite as you go. And then once you've thoroughly covered that area, you're going to completely open the machine up. You're going to turn that sensitivity up, and then you're going to slow that recovery speed or that reactivity down so you're getting the biggest bite as you go across that ground. And you're going to be able to get the maximum potential out of your machine. Often, like eating an elephant, you have to eat it one bite at a time, but to get to that very bottom section, you need to take it in layers. If you think about a lot of different house sites, colonial period areas, or even modern parks where you have different time periods of occupation, you really need to look at all of the different targets in layers. So for the XP Deus, there is the hot program or the sifter program that are either they're high reactivity or high recovery speeds. If you have a Equinox, say a 600 or 800, or an XP Deus, or even maybe a new Apex or any new machine that comes out, this really applies to all of them. So we're going to talk about that mid-deep. We're taking a little bit bigger bite, and we're going to go over that program for the XP Deus right now. So on the XP Deus, we'll go ahead and we'll go through the mid-deep program. Now what we're using is version 5.2. We're going to turn the speaker off. And in one of my last videos, I'll link that in the area up top with the card, I explained how I set my machine up, so we won't go through all of that. But what we're going to do is we're going to go right on through the mid-deep program and explain what that program is and how it's set up. So if you hit the menu button, and we're going to go ahead and start at the top, understand that all of these different settings are customizable and adjustable to your area, your ground, and things like that. But what they are is a general guideline to help you get in that mid-deep range of middle layer of targets. I also like to think of this on the outsides of a house or an area of occupation where maybe the house fell down and then over time it was spread out. You don't have the heavy density of where the actual building stood, but you have kind of spread or sporadic iron around the outsides. Not where it's clean, but you're starting to get some iron targets and you need a little bit of discrimination and you want a little more depth to try to reach through that. So on this, I'm going to start on this version using my coil. If you have the X35 coil, I'm going to use somewhere in the 12 to 15 kilohertz range. I'm currently set up at 11.7. Frequency shift, we know all about that for other machines. My iron volume, I'm going to run at 1. Sometimes that's just to make sure I'm still in the iron, I haven't moved out of it. Sometimes I'll move it up to hear a little bit more. Sometimes I'll move it down because I know that I'm right in the iron and I don't need to worry about it, and I can move it to 0. Reactivity on this is going to be either 2 or 2.5. Not super slow, kind of right in that middle, that sweet area where you're going to be punching through some of that little bit heavier iron, and you're going to be able to work through that just a little better. Silencer, 2 on this program. Audio response is going to be 3. So we're not really pounding the targets out into your earphones, but it's going to let you know if there is a little bit deeper target there. Notch, nothing on the notch. Discrimination, 6.8 is what I run. Sometimes I'll back it down to 5, but 6.8 seems to work really well for this mid-deep program. I'm going to be running in 5 tones. I prefer 5 over 4. Gives me a little bit more information. In this program, I'm able to handle it just a little better. Sensitivity, I'm going to run 90 as long as the machine is stable. I don't want to jack it up and get the machine unstable, and I'm not going to slow it down because I have other programs to handle that lower sensitivity area. Transmit power, I am going to run at 3. So that brings us all the way back to frequency, and that's the mid-deep program. It's a very simple, easy program to use. I think it has a lot of applications, whether you hunt parks or you hunt fields or house sites. It also works really well sometimes for going out and exploring a new area where you're not quite sure what you're going to run into, and it'll give you a lot of information with very ease of use. So, pretty simple. If you have an XP Deus or you have an Equinox or any other machine that allows you to adjust the recovery speed, I'd like to know how you set yours up to manage those areas in between dense iron of a home site or a place of occupation to the quiet areas of the field, where you have very limited amounts of iron or noise of things like that. So how do you set your machine up? Let me know in the comments. If you like this video, I'd love to know about it. Let me know. If you didn't like this video, I'm okay. If you'd like to see more of this sort of content, please reach down there and click that subscribe button, and I promise you I'll give you some more of this right here. Until next time, my name is Matt. This is Gone Diggin', and we'll see you right here. Thanks for watching.